All right, today we're going to decode one of the most important, but often misunderstood licenses on the entire internet. We are diving deep into CC BY 4.0, a license that, you might be surprised, powers a huge part of the web that you use every single day. So have you ever been scrolling through a site like Wikipedia, or maybe looking for an image for a project, and you see these little symbols pop up? You know, the letters CC, that little person icon, that circular arrow. Did you ever just stop and wonder, what do those things actually mean? What are the rules they're setting for me? I love how our source material for this explainer puts it. This license is fierce and fabulous, but it's got boundaries you absolutely have to know. So let's get into it and break down exactly what those boundaries are.
Okay, first things first, let's not think of this as some dense, complicated legal document. For most of us, it's much simpler. Let's just frame it as a rule book, a simple rule book for using and sharing stuff online.
So, what does CC BY SA 4.0 actually stand for? It's Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 4.0 International. Yeah, I know, that is a mouthful. But don't worry, it actually breaks down into two very simple ideas.
Seriously? This entire license, this whole big concept, it all boils down to just two core ideas. Two big, super easy to remember rules that are represented by just two little letters, BY and SA.
And here they are. It really all comes down to this. Step 1, BI, which just means give credit. And step 2, SA, which means share alike. That's the foundation of the whole thing. Now, let's look a little closer at what each one is really asking you to do.
Okay, so first up is BY. That's for attribution. Think of this as the permission slip. It means you can use the material, you can adapt it, you can even make money from it. But there's one huge rule you have to follow. You must give credit to the original creator and link back to the license. Basically, give them their props. Then you've got SA, which is for share alike. This is kind of like the pay it forward rule. If you remix or change the work in any way, your brand new creation has to be shared under the exact same license. No exceptions.
Now let's zoom in on that second rule, the SA part, because this is where things get really powerful. This is what creates something people call the viral effect, and it all comes from this really cool concept known as copyleft.
The rule is just so simple but so effective. If you build on someone else's work, you have to distribute your new version under the same license as the original. It creates this unbreakable chain of sharing that just keeps going and going.
You know, the source material has this perfect little phrase for it. What goes around, comes around. And that's exactly what this does. It guarantees that once something is made freely available under this license, all the future versions that get built on top of it will also stay freely available for others to use and adapt. Pretty neat, huh?
So this whole thing is what's often called the viral or copyleft effect. And hey, for any developers listening, this probably sounds super familiar, right? It's very similar to the General Public License, or GPL, that's used for so much open source software. The goal is exactly the same, to make sure that creative works and everything that comes from them stay free and open for everyone. Any new work you create basically inherits the original sharing rules. So, this all sounds great in theory, but where do we actually see this license in action? Let's take a look at some real-world power players. I'm talking huge, influential projects that we all use every day that are built on CC BY SA 4.0.
It's actually kind of mind-blowing how many huge platforms rely on this. Let's start with the big one, Wikipedia. All of its text and content is licensed under CC BY SA. That's why you can use its information, but it's also why you have to give credit and keep that share-alike promise. What about a developer's best friend, Stack Overflow? All those questions and answers? Yep, same deal. Wikimedia Commons, where we get so many media files and images? You got it, you have to follow the BYSA rules. And even open educational resources, we're talking free textbooks and courses, they all use this license to keep knowledge and learning free and flowing.
All right, so we've covered the what and the why. Now for the really important part, right? The how. Let's get to the final verdict. When should you use this license for your own work?
So here's the practical takeaway. For things like your project's data, its documentation, any guides or tutorials you write, and your visual assets, CC BY SA 4.0 is your go-to. It gives you maximum sharing power. But, and this is a really important but, for your actual source code, you're going to want to stick to traditional software licenses like GPL, MIT, or Apache. This license is really for all the creative assets around the code.
So there you have it. You've officially decoded the rules of sharing.
And like our source says, now you're licensed to thrill. So the only question left is, now that you know the rules of the game, what amazing thing are you going to create and share with the world?